director of the didactic program in dietetics here at OSU and a professor of human nutrition. And I was asked to talk to students who are interested in OSU grad programs in nutrition today. And it looks like we have one. So I think if you would like to unmute and tell us your name, please go ahead and do that. And I'll be glad to share some information and talk individually about your situation if you'd like to do that. If not, I'll let everyone else in the room introduce themselves. So Amanda, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Amanda Kroll, and I'm the graduate associate manager in the college. My work revolves around supporting graduate students at the college level, particularly in funding and special projects, as well as I advise the EHE Graduate Student Advisory Council, which is comprised of students across the college from each department. So, welcome. Thank you.
And Janaki, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hi, my name is Janaki. I'm a current PhD student, and one of the advisors here at OSIN, Dr. Irene Hatsu. I recently graduated with my master's in the same program, with the same advisor this past spring.
Great. Okay, so Amanda, I think, do I have permission to share slides or do you need to give me permission to do that?
You should be able to do that. Go ahead and give it a try. If it doesn't work, let me know.
I have a short slide presentation and we can stop at any point if there are questions, but I will share what I have here. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, let me put this in presentation mode and see if we can get going here. Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to talk about OSU grad programs in nutrition and some of the options that we have here at OSU and opportunities for students who are interested in nutrition as a potential career path. So the other thing I'm going to do is just give you an overview of each of the programs and then talk about opportunities for career paths as we end up and do a little Q&A at the end if there is any question. So our options here at OSU, as far as human nutrition graduate programs, we have 4 different types of programs. We have 2 Master of Science programs. One has a research specialization track, and one is a professional studies track, and we'll talk about those 2. And then we have a combined Master of Dietetics and Nutrition program that is actually a joint program between the College of EHE, Education and Human Ecology, and the College of Medicine. And this program is specifically for individuals who are interested in becoming a registered dietitian. And then finally, we have our PhD program, which is the Ohio State Interdisciplinary PhD in Nutrition, or we call it OSUN. So our 2 MS tracks, I mentioned the nutrition research track and professional studies track. The difference between the 2 is really the nutrition research track is specifically for those who are interested in a research component, either as a pathway to a career in nutrition research or as a component of maybe something else that they would like to do, like medical school, where having some research experience and understanding that process might be very helpful as you're going on to another professional program. So there's information here on this slide about website that you can connect to if you're interested, and it gives you the program details and the entire curriculum. The professional studies track is for those who are more interested in applying nutrition knowledge rather than actually generating nutrition knowledge. So those who want to understand the research process without actually having to be involved in it. So the research track requires a thesis with a minimum of 6 credits as a research component of that program. And oftentimes it's more than 6 credits of research by the time you actually complete your thesis and get ready for publication. But a minimum of 6 credits would be required. The professional studies track has a graduate coursework primarily as its focus, but it also has a capstone project, which is 1 credit of research. So it sort of gives you an idea about the difference in time that you would be expected to devote towards anything research-based. It would be much greater in the research track versus in a capstone project. This might be something like a review of literature where it takes much less time and is not as intensive in terms of the research component. The other option in the professional studies track is to take a cumulative exam. So there's a link here on this slide to a lot more information and detail about that program. But I'll give you a little bit of an overview of each of these programs. So the nutrition research track is a 2-year program, typically. It requires 30 graduate credit hours. In year 1, you're basically taking your required coursework and starting to learn about research methods and approaches. And you do this through some of the coursework, but you also do it as part of working in your mentor's lab or in their research program in a clinical setting, depending upon what type of research they do. In summer of year 1, this would be the time that you would typically write up your research proposal and present that proposal to your thesis committee. And then in year 2, you finish taking required or elective coursework, you complete your research project, you write up and defend your thesis, and then you present to the human nutrition community in a seminar type format. In the Master of Science Professional Studies track, this takes 1.5 to 2 years to complete. It's also 30 credits, but as I said before, it's primarily course-based. So in year 1, you're taking a required coursework, you're discussing your planned coursework and capstone with your faculty advisor, and then in year 2, you're finishing taking that coursework and completing a capstone project, which is a much less intensive dive into the research process. Or you have the option of taking a cumulative exam. Most students are completing the capstone, but we do have that exam option as well. So I can stop here and just ask, is there any question or are there any questions about either of these programs at this point? Okay.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Sorry. Good afternoon. I do have a question though, but I don't know when to place my question. So should I ask it now or should I wait?
Why don't you ask the question, and if it's something that I'm going to address later, we can,
Okay.
hold it a bit, but feel free to ask at any time.
All right then. So I do have a bachelor's degree, but it's in business administration, and I want to switch to a new path in life in nutrition. And I have reached out several times actually and didn't hear back from anybody from OSU as to what to do and how to get from one place to another. Because since I'm more of a returning student rather than a start over, I'd like to know, is it master's, is it PhD? I'd rather go for PhD, but
Okay.
I don't know how to go around it. And as far as the applied part of it, I just that's the part where I'm confused. I know I don't want to do research. That's for sure. I do want to work with people. I enjoy people. I enjoy being around people. I enjoy people's drama. So,
Mhm.
I'd like to sit down and work with them if that option is open to me in this field.
Yeah, so let me talk a little bit about that now, and then we'll talk more about it as we go along. But I think from what you're describing, it sounds like you would be interested in a degree that is working with either like a clinical or community type research setting if you decide to do the MS thesis-based project or the PhD project. You're not interested so much in wet lab research from what I'm hearing, if I understand correctly.
That is indeed correct.
Okay. So you have a lot of different options. Let me talk about a few of those with that in mind, okay? So let me show you a little bit about the master's route, which is one way you might go. No matter which track in the master's program, the required core courses are the same. So you're going to be taking these core courses. These core courses overlap a lot with our PhD program as well, as you'll see in a little bit. So the classwork, the foundational classwork is the same. The other program that I haven't talked about at the master's level, I just mentioned at the beginning, was this Master of Dietetics and Nutrition. So this is definitely applied nutrition. It's not about doing research as part of a career. It is actually for individuals who want to become a registered dietitian. And so if you have the desire to work with people and provide them with individualized nutrition counseling, that's called medical nutrition therapy. And to do that, you have to be licensed as a dietitian in all but 4 states in the United States. So legally, a person who wants to do that type of individualized counseling and provide more than general healthy nutrition advice, like if you're providing counseling based on their calorie needs or their disease state, or in order to treat a particular condition, you need to be a licensed dietitian. And so this program, this master's program, is designed for individuals who have that goal. So it's a coordinated graduate program, which means that it combines both coursework and supervised experiential learning. That is like a dietetic internship where you go through rotations in various settings. So that those settings would include things like a hospital or long-term care so that you gain clinical experience. It would include rotations in the community. So you might be having experiential learning, like in a program that's dealing with child hunger or a food pantry. You would have service and rotations in some type of a food service or management type position as well in order to gain experience in that regard. So you would be completing 43 credits of coursework along with 1,000 hours of supervised experiential learning as part of this coordinated program. It's a 5-semester program, so it takes 2 continuous years, including the summer between year 1 and year 2, in order to complete. It does have a capstone project as an optional component. So if you want to get into a little bit more of a deeper dive into a particular topic, you can do a capstone in that area. But if you don't want to do that, you can take an elective coursework to replace that. When individuals complete this program, they are eligible to sit for the exam to become a registered dietitian nutritionist. And that's the first step in becoming a licensed dietitian in any state in the US. So you have to have that credential, that RDN credential, in order to become licensed. So those are the 3 options at the master's level. And I can continue to talk at the PhD level as well. But I can stop again and say, do you have any questions about those 3 different master's level programs?
No, I don't. Thank you. You explained it quite well.
Okay, great. So when we think about like which program is right for different individuals, we say that the MS Nutrition Research track is really maybe right and designed for those who are interested in research in academia, industry, or government. Those interested in medicine and performing future research combined with an MD degree or other health professional degree, such as nursing or PT. No matter which track, you have had to have completed a bachelor's degree prior to entering. And usually that bachelor's degree would be in something like nutrition, chemistry, biology, or pharmacy, although individuals can enter without that bachelor's degree in that particular major if they complete some foundational science and nutrition courses prior to entering the program. So sometimes a person who has a bachelor's degree in business would then need to take, a fundamental nutrition course and chemistry and biology before entering the program, or those types of things. It would all depend upon what was part of their previous bachelor's degree. So the MS Professional Studies track is really designed for those seeking a US-based MS degree in preparation for med school, or those in health professions and industry who want to add nutrition as a component of what they're doing. This would not be to provide medical nutrition therapy, but for instance, if somebody's in a personal trainer role or working with individuals in some aspect of health, they want to be able to give general nutrition advice, and this prepares them to do that. So those who have a registered dietitian credential without a master's degree, so they graduated prior to requirements for a master's degree and they're looking to complete that master's degree, this would also be an option for them. And those interested in other health professions degrees who obtain non-science bachelor's degrees, like they're interested in going to nursing school or med school or PT school, they need to have a science-based master's before applying. So the MDN program, as I mentioned, is really designed for those who want to become a registered dietitian nutritionist and need to have that credential in order to provide specific medical nutrition therapy to individuals with all kinds of different conditions. So let me go on here just to say this is our human nutrition faculty, and I can just say we have wonderful faculty in the program. There are, 8, 9, 10, 11 of us now who are in the program, and you can see our contact information here. So if you're trying to connect individuals with different research interests, their emails are here and photos, just so you might recognize them on campus if you bump into them. And if you're interested in any of the master's level programs here at OSU, these are the people I would suggest that you connect with. So our grad studies coordinator, Andy Siebert, our human nutrition grad studies chair, Dr. Chris Zhu, would be the person you would connect with if you're interested in any of the Master of Science programs. And if you're interested in the MDN program, I would connect with one of the co-directors, Dr. Julie Kennel is listed here, and her contact information. So I'll jump on to talk about the OSU PhD program, the OSUN program next, unless there are any other questions about the master's level programs. All right, so just an overview of OSUN. The PhD program is a program that takes individuals 3 to 5 years to complete. It requires a minimum of 80 graduate credits. And there's just a brief overview here of sort of the typical milestones that are completed in each year of the PhD program. So in years 1 to 2, you take required coursework, you learn basic research methods and approach from classes and faculty mentors, and you write up your research proposal and submit it to a committee. And you defend that research proposal with an oral presentation and a Q&A session. So all of that looks very similar to our research track for our MS degree. But the research component is then going to extend out beyond those 1 to 2 years because it's going to be much more comprehensive, of course, and you're going to be leading a research project, not just participating in a research project as part of your faculty mentors lab. So in years 2 to 4, you're going to conduct your research project, you're going to complete any remaining elective coursework during those years, and you're going to take a PhD candidacy exam. And so this is a component where your committee, your dissertation committee, is going to compose an exam that you will write, and then you have an oral component as well that really tests your knowledge about nutrition as related to the research project that you proposed. Once you pass that, you can continue on in the program, and in years 3 to 5, you complete your research, you write up and defend your dissertation, And during that time is really where you start to present your results at national and international conferences, and you begin to publish results that you have generated from your own nutrition research in coordination with your faculty advisor. So the required courses for OSUN in that first year or two, the first year looks very much like the MS research track. So you're completing very similar coursework in this first year. In year two, you start to take some more of the advanced nutrition coursework in macronutrient and micronutrient metabolism. Or you might, if depending upon the type of research that you're doing, you might take more advanced classes in community nutrition or behavioral nutrition if that's part of the component of the research that you would be conducting and is better suited to your research needs. So the OSUN program at Ohio State is an interdisciplinary program, as I mentioned before, and it includes students and faculty from 4 different colleges in the university. So EHE is one of them, but also our Agriculture College, Food and Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, the College of Medicine, and the College of Nursing all have faculty advisors and students within our OSUN program. So that's a nice benefit, I think, to our program because you interact with people from a lot of different colleges, and that really broadens your focus instead of just having individuals who are all located in one college in like a nutrition department. The director for our OSUN program is Dr. Ali Redding, and our assistant director is Dr. Rachel Kopek. And so those would be people that you would want to connect with if you're interested in this program. And our grad studies coordinator, again, Andy Siebert, can direct you to those individuals and answer some of the different questions about applications and those type of things. And then finally, just talking about like where do our grads end up? Because at the end of the day, if you're thinking about planning your career, you want to think about what job do you want to have at the end of your training. So what I composed here on this slide is just a list of some of the places that our recent graduates have ended up getting their first jobs. And so these are from our MS program, our MDN program, and our OSUN program. And I've just listed the titles of those jobs. So you can see that in academia, we have individuals from the OSUN program. So these would be our PhD graduates as postdoctoral researchers, university assistant professors, and research scientists. And we have individuals who have graduated either from our MS research track or from our MDN program as university instructors. So these individuals would be primarily responsible for just teaching classes. They wouldn't be involved in research at the university level. In the industry realm, we have lots of our grads go to industry. And I just put some of the titles of more recent grads. So clinical trial manager at MedPace for OSUN graduates, regulatory affairs specialists, research and development, senior scientists at Abbott. So Abbott has its national headquarters here in Columbus. So we have lots of our grads go to Abbott. They recruit heavily from our program. And we have OSUN grads and MDN grads who recently have gone to Abbott. Nutrition, health, and wellness specialists at Nestle in Cleveland. One of our Master of Science grads went there recently. And then in healthcare, lots and lots of our MDN grads go to healthcare. But so we have clinical dietitians, pediatric and oncology dietitians, performance dietitians, and D1 athletics. Those are MDN grads. We also have Master of Science grads who have the RDN credential as well. So they have that combination of MS, RDN, who have gone to clinical dietetics or neonatal physician's assistants. Health and wellness coaches and private practice nutritionists are some of the places where our MDN grads have also gone. So We can talk specifically about more about individual situations here or any other questions you have about the PhD program, if you have any additional things you'd like to discuss.
So according to my understanding, the PhD program is mostly just research.
The PhD program is definitely a research-based program. It is not, it is 2 years of coursework basically, but the other 2 or even 3 years sometimes would be research. So you are completing a research dissertation. So you are conducting active research with your advisor. Yes.
Okay, that's the question I needed to know. But so I'm still processing. So after the PhD program and after your research, then you go ahead and pick what suits you best with all the knowledge you've learned.
Yeah, I guess I would suggest that you have your career path in mind before you start, because I think that really directs which program is best suited for you.
Mm.
So if you're thinking about, based on what you shared already, that you want to work with people, and if you're thinking more about a counseling role in working with people, then I would suggest the MDN program for you and becoming a registered dietitian, because that's really a lot of the focus of that type of a program. If you're interested in working more in other areas where it's still very much people oriented, but maybe more in an industry setting or corporate setting, like things like regulatory affairs or health and wellness, you can do those types of things with a master's degree. It does not necessarily have to have a thesis base, so you don't have to conduct research. You could do the professional studies master's and do that find a job in that type of a position. But what I always recommend to students whenever they're thinking about careers is go find your dream job online or find a few that sound like your dream job. And then see what the requirements are for education and training to be qualified for that dream job. And then go back and find what you need in order to complete those educational requirements.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Thank you, Miss Tanya.
You're very welcome. Janaki, do you have anything you want to add? Janaki is in our PhD program, so she could give you more insights into what it's like to be a student there. But would you agree, Janaki, that it's very much research focused?
Yes, even as in the professional non-thesis track for a brief moment, it was still very research focused and heavy because I think once you get to the graduate level for education, it's a lot more research focused, even when you don't want it to be at times. It ends up being more research focused because at that point we've already taken the undergrad classes that give us more insight onto what we're interested about. So.
Yeah, great. That's good also to hear, even in the professional track, you're evaluating the research. So one of the way we talk about that is you're still learning to apply the research to your career path, to whatever you're going to be doing, how to read it, how to understand it, how to interpret it, how to apply it to a patient situation if you're in the MDN program, how to apply it to, um, you know, producing healthy products in an industry setting, in a food industry setting. You want to be able to apply that research. So thanks, Janaki. Okay, well, if you don't have any other questions, I am all done with
Tanya,
talking. Yes,
I have a question for Janaki, please.
sure, great.
Janaki,
Mhm.
hello. So what kind of things do you research?
So my research focuses on the homeless young adult population here in Columbus. So we look at what their food insecurity and nutrition related strategies look like and how they obtain food as a mean of surviving. So my particular population, I work with young moms who are homeless and have young kids. And we looked at their substance use and how it relates to food insecurity and their nutrition status.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Very interesting and honorable.
Thank you.
All right.
And I can just pipe in and say like, my research focus and the focus of my students is working with cancer survivors to reduce side effects of cancer treatment. And we use nutrition counseling interventions or, diet modifications in order to try to do that.
Sounds very interesting. It sounds like, I mean, I do want to work with people, but I also want to study deeper about, everything but you and Janica talking about. Like, it's not a surface interest for me. So while I know that I want to work with people, I do know that I want to go deeper. So just to find, so that's why I want to know more about the research part of it, to know what can be researched and how to get there, basically. Do you, do you,
That's a great question. I can maybe give you a little bit of guidance here. So I would say if you're interested in our program or in any university program, look at the faculty research interests and go online, to their website, see what they're researching or look up their publications. If you do like a Google Scholar search and look at what they're publishing on, and try to find individuals who have some research that's interesting to you and that you would like to go deeper into. And then you can contact them in order to see if they have any openings in their lab for students. Because oftentimes the reality on the ground is that faculty would love to have additional students, but we have to have funding sources for those students. And so we're very limited on the number that we can take in any one year. And so when you reach out to a faculty and they say, unfortunately, I'm not taking students, don't take that personally from whatever university you get that response from, because usually it's just because they don't have funding. They have funding for a certain number of students for that year, and they can't take any more because of that funding situation. But that's where I would start. Find faculty who have a research interest that overlaps with what your interests are, and then reach out to them, and you'll be able to hopefully make a good match with somebody who's able to take a student in the particular year that you're interested in joining.
okay, all right. Like I said, sounds like a residency program, but that I remember when we were much younger and my friend was trying to get matched up with her residency program. So I'm like, yeesh, I'm about to go through that. All right. That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, all of you, for doing this meeting. I have also, you can find faculty. Sorry, I'm reading a text from Amanda. Wait, a chat. Oh, God, technology. I don't know how to get to it. But
Okay, I put in the chat a link to our directory so that you can click on our nutrition faculty and read their bios, including their research interests and backgrounds.
I found it now. Okay, let me click. Yay, gotcha. I've opened the window. Okay. Oops, am I still here?
Yes.
All right. Okay, got it. So thank you so much. I appreciate this so much. You have no idea. Like I said, I've been trying to get in touch with anybody from that department and I haven't been hearing back. So this was good. I appreciate it.
Great. Well, thank you for attending.